You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
12 noon.
It's credible and factual. The World at Noon on Nationwide 90 FM.
Good afternoon, I'm Andrew Cannon. In the World at Noon for this Sunday, October 13, 2024, Mayor of Mandeville, Donovan Mitchell, hits back at calls for his resignation regarding his comments over unexplained wealth order. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says Jamaica's tourism sector is set for continued expansion as global travel surges towards 1.5 billion travelers. Government indicates that all systems are in place for the start of the Spark program come next month. In news from the region, in Trinidad and Tobago, the People's National Movement leadership up for grabs as Keith Rowley hints at retirement. On the international scene, UN says Israeli tanks destroyed main gate at peacekeepers facility. While in sports, Djokovic denied 100th title as Sinner wins in Shanghai. The details after this.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Mayor of Mandeville, Donovan Mitchell, is hitting out against elements within the ruling Jamaica Labour Party who are calling for his resignation. Counsel for the Craighead Division in Manchester, the JLP's Omar Miller, said he had lost confidence in the mayor. His claim follows Mayor Mitchell's controversial comment appearing to support unexplained wealth. In a release today, Mayor Mitchell said that at no point did he offer support for scamming, nor did he intend to convey such a message. He described his remark as ironic, and he said that it was made in the context of a discussion on the implementation of curfews in certain areas of the parish which have disproportionately been affected, such as small business operators, while sparing larger entities. According to the mayor, the severe hardship measures have caused on local... I'll read it for you again. According to the mayor, the severe hardship the measures have caused on local communities were the primary concern. The mayor is further insisting that at no point did he offer support for scamming, and he said that it was a sarcastic jab aimed at the JLP's current behavior.
In response to recent calls for my resignation, fueled by comments made during a sitting of the Manchester Municipal Corporation, I find it appalling that elements within the Jamaica Labour Party have so hastily sought to sensationalize my remarks while conveniently ignoring their own glaring contradictions and failings. The call for my resignation is nothing more than an act of desperation, sparked by a cynical comment I made, which highlighted the hypocrisy of the JLP regarding the issue of illicit enrichment.
Meanwhile, Mayor Mitchell is accusing the JLP of abandoning unexplained wealth order legislation.
It is deeply troubling that this same government has abandoned their commitment to implement legislation for unexplained wealth orders, a critical tool in the fight against corruption. Their abandonment of this legislation raises serious questions about their sincerity in addressing illicit enrichment.
Donovan Mitchell, Mayor of Mandeville. Jamaica's tourism sector is set for continued expansion as global travel surges towards 1.5 billion travelers by the end of this year, with projections of nearly 3 billion tourists worldwide in the next 2 decades. That's the word from Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett. Minister Bartlett was addressing the 63rd Annual General Meeting of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association (JHTA) on Saturday, October 12. He outlined several strategies aimed at ensuring that Jamaica remains a top destination and continues to experience growth in the competitive global tourism market. Minister Bartlett urged local tourism partners to be innovative and adaptive to emerging trends, emphasizing that Jamaica must prepare for the rising wave of travelers by building the necessary capacity and offering superior service. He said the country's challenge is to create the capacity to benefit from the growing tourism activity. The minister underscored the resilience of the tourism sector, which continues to outpace general economic growth globally, growing at a rate of 3% annually over the past 30 years. Meanwhile, the minister cautioned that Jamaica must stay nimble and innovative in response to the evolving global landscape. He said that it's important that Jamaica remains nimble, adaptive, and responsive to ensure the growth experienced after COVID isn't erased by the deluge of disruptions that came with the recovery. The government has indicated that all is in place for the start of the Shared Prosperity through Accelerated Improvement to our Road Network Spark program next month. Minister with a portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation with responsibility for works, Robert Morgan, gave the indication in a post on social media.
Spark was also consultative. We went through all constituencies and engaged with your neighbors, and you chose the roads that we're going to fix. It's going to start this year. By November, we'll be fixing roads in all constituencies, almost in every region of the island.
Meanwhile, Minister Morgan again emphasized that local contractors will be a part of the project.
We have very internationally recognized contractors who will do the work, but they'll also be working with the local contractors so that Jamaicans can be a part of the transformation.
Robert Morgan, Minister with a portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation with responsibility for works. The National Road Safety Council is set to become a committee of cabinet. Vice Chairman of the National Road Safety Council, Dr. Lucian Jones, indicated that the move is to further strengthen the structures and programs that are geared towards reducing the number of road fatalities on the country's roads. Additionally, by making the council a committee of cabinet, the government will be seeking to achieve key benchmarks of the World Health Organization (WHO) that target safety measures so that fatal crashes are reduced.
The National Road Safety Council has submitted to the government a plan to increase the capacity significantly of the council. This against the background of the mandate from WHO that in the second decade of road safety, we need to reduce fatalities by 50% by 2030. That means Jamaica must get down to 216 fatalities, down from 432 in 2020, 216 fatalities by 2030. The capacity review then calls for the government of the country to formalize the National Road Safety Council as a committee of cabinet.
As part of being a committee of cabinet, a National Road Safety Conference will be held. That conference will iron out key deliverables that must be met by ministries, departments and agencies to reduce road fatalities.
This conference will prepare an annual road safety plan, including a budget, which will serve as an input to the GOJ's annual budget cycle. And once the budget is approved by Parliament, then the annual plan will be adjusted, if necessary. In this scenario, ministries, departments and agencies will be held accountable to Cabinet for implementation of the plan through the regular National Road Safety Council meetings headed by the Prime Minister. We need to do things differently in this country if we are going to avoid having so many people dying on our roads. We are headed in the wrong direction.
Dr. Lucian Jones, Vice Chairman of the National Road Safety Council. And now to news in the region. On the eve of his 75th birthday, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, gave his strongest statement on whether it would be his last year of electoral politics in Parliament last week. It's not the first time Dr. Rowley signaled that he was bowing out of the political arena. In January of this year, Dr. Rowley had planted the seed of possibly retiring from politics. During his contribution to the budget debate last Thursday, he went further and told the House, "I don't have a lot more time in here." One day after Dr. Rowley's contribution in Parliament, the People's National Movement's General Secretary, Foster Cummings, issued a press release stating that the party's 51st annual convention and internal elections, scheduled for November 17, had been cancelled. On the international scene, 2 Israeli tanks destroyed the main gate of a United Nations interim force in Lebanon, UNIFIL position, in the south of the country this morning, UNIFIL says. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had called for the UN chief Antonio Guterres to remove peacekeeping forces in southern Lebanon immediately. Yesterday, the UN interim force in Lebanon said a 5th peacekeeper was injured in southern Lebanon this week. The IDF says Hezbollah launched around 320 projectiles from Lebanon into Israel on Saturday. In Gaza, at least 29 people have been killed in Israeli airstrikes in the central and northern Gaza Strip on Saturday and overnight, according to Reuters news agency citing medics. And now to sports. Novak Djokovic missed the opportunity to claim the 100th title of his stellar career as Jannik Sinner won a highly quality Shanghai Masters final. World number 1 Sinner 23 continued his dominant form this season with a 7-6, 7-4, 6-3 victory over the 37-year-old Serb. Djokovic was aiming to become only the 3rd man after Jimmy Connors 109 and watching Roger Federer 103 to chalk up a ton of titles. I have got to keep striving to make it happen somewhere in the future, said the 24-time major champion Djokovic, whose only title this year has been the Olympic gold, which had been eluding him. And now for a recap of the main stories making the news at this hour. Mayor of Mandeville, Donovan Mitchell, hits back at calls for him to resign over his comments over unexplained wealth. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says Jamaica's tourism sector is set for continued expansion as global travel surges towards 1.5 billion travelers. Government indicates that it's all systems go for the start of the Spark program next month. You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News is next at 5 o'clock, but stay tuned for the amazing word.
Coming